It's sorry, I'm starting the recording. Yeah, thank you for everyone for joining. We have a few subjects we're going to talk about this morning, and hopefully you can get some insight, some refresher, and renewed perspective to continue to go out every single day. And as I say, conquer the world and the abilities and the jobs that we have on a daily basis. There's always many challenges that you face, that we all face in different forms and fashions, but knowledge and understanding and grit and determination will get us a long way. So again, we appreciate you guys taking a few minutes with us this morning. And we have Mr. David Jackson on the line with us that's going to start off our call.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start off with the importance of the seatbelt. All of the statistics from the use of the seatbelt will give you that they have saved thousands and thousands of lives. And a personal example, we had a driver last week in our area who was on a major road, went down an embankment, and went through the cement wall of a building, a factory building, one of those pop-up buildings. The truck was totaled. Two of the trailers were severely damaged. They had to be put on a platform and brought in. They couldn't even be driven in. The driver was fine. He walked away. In fact, when the trucks and the trailers came in, he was standing there with the line haul manager explaining what had happened, and he was fine. No injury whatsoever. One of the things that's really important to remember is you can be injured in an accident with speeds as low as 30 miles an hour. A lot of people don't realize that, but some fatalities have happened at 35 miles an hour. So you need to keep that in mind. And the other thing is when you are hooking up and hooking your trailers up and breaking the trailers up, every time you get in that cab, you need to put the seatbelt on. Because that develops what's called a muscle memory, where you constantly thinking about putting that belt on, whether anytime you get behind the steering wheel, so that at some point you're not absent-mindedly forgetting to put it on. If it becomes a habit that you do all the time, then it'll be something that you do. So even when you're just going to put it on for while you move a trailer a few feet, it's important to just put that on so that you have that in your system, your personal system, that reminds you all the time, put the seatbelt on, put the seatbelt on, put the seatbelt on. Okay. Another thing I want to talk about is the rules for right on red. Okay. You must come to a complete stop. You must be able to turn, and that includes if you have a double set of trailers, or a single set, or just a van. You must be able to enter the intersection and gain speed, traffic speed, without interfering with the traffic that is flowing. So keep that in mind. Your spacing needs to be, you need to look at the spacing. If someone's there and they're coming on pretty fast, it's safe to assume that you need to make sure that you can pull into the traffic and gain your speed without interfering with them. Okay. On a green light, the terms are you must I'm sorry. There's a thing called right-hand squeeze, and that is when you're turning to the right, someone, because you have to pull all the way over to make that turn, someone will try and pass you on the right while you are making that turn. It's called a right-hand squeeze. Okay, you are responsible for that. Even if they try and do something that's not there, you do not leave them that space. The method that you use to avoid that is, before you get to the corner, you pull your tractor and trailer over as far to the right as you can, so that the rear trailer is in a position that blocks that lane, because the lane may be big enough for two people to actually pass. Then you pull the tractor and trailer out to your left to make that turn. That avoids what's called a right-hand squeeze. Okay. The other thing is if their traffic is not opposing traffic, but the lanes you are turning into, if someone is sitting in the turn lane there, you have to let them go. You cannot block them from going. So when you make the turn on right hand on a green, you have to make sure that you have room to make that turn, even if you go into the other lane, into their lane, to make the turn. But you cannot block them from being able to make that turn. They're sitting there. One of the other subjects that was asked of me is how to avoid debris in the road. It's very obvious. You just need to pay attention. There are things that in the road, whatever it is, it may look like a paper bag. It may look like a plastic bag. It may look like a piece of cloth, something that you would probably assume would not damage your vehicle, but you don't know what it is. I've had pieces of steel that were in the road that I've avoided, and had someone behind me hit it and threw it up into the air. It can do a lot of damage to your vehicle, and especially brake lines, because tires in that line can tear up with alligators, as we call them. Tire treads can come up and destroy a brake line, and that means that you're stuck until you can repair that or get it. But it means you're going to be sitting there for a while. So you need to avoid all the debris, and that is actually paying attention and looking for it. As you do that, though, the other thing you must be is aware that if you have to move in your lane or move into another lane to avoid that, you need to know what the traffic is on either side of you, so that you're not cutting somebody else off by making a move. And sometimes even a sudden move of your steering wheel will be enough to have that person be aware that you're going to make a change. But sometimes it's not, because they're not always paying attention. And as a professional driver, you are considered someone who has to be responsible, and I don't mean responsible in a physical way, but you have to be aware of what other people who are not professionals are going to do. You have to anticipate their moves, anticipate that they're going to do something that's not right, and be ready for it. That's what's expected of a professional driver. Now at night, it's hard to see. You should have some of the new lights now that they have, especially on the Freightliners, is the military grade light. They're much brighter, and they throw a light much further than some of the older trucks. And you need to be aware of what's going on the road. That's why you pay attention, always paying attention to what's going on. Those lights, you need to slow down if you need to. If you can't see, if you're not sure, then slow down. You're not supposed to overdrive your lights. Your lights have, it's not the same as daytime. The lights have a certain distance that they are, and you're supposed to be able to respond to anything that comes into the light, but you don't drive faster than something coming up into the light later. So those are the points for today. And drive safely, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you, David. Is there any questions from the audience? All right, I'm going to, oh, go ahead.
No, we don't have questions here.
Okay, I'm going to show kind of a video just to kind of go with what David mentioned. He mentioned some great points in regards to everything. We're going to show a short video. It's kind of an interaction type of thing with in regards to seatbelts. And then if there's any other questions, then we'll go towards that again. 1 second, let me share. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Okay.
Welcome to this training on safety belt awareness for CMV drivers. Professional drivers have a responsibility to do their job. This includes keeping you, your cargo, and other drivers safe. Seatbelts are the first requirement. No professional driver expects to be in a collision. In the event you are involved in a crash, your safety belt will keep you behind the controls of your vehicle and protect your head, neck, and back from crippling injury or death. Let's explore some common misconceptions that lead some professionals to hit the road without their safety belts. My ability to control the vehicle in an emergency is hampered by safety belts. Fact or fiction? With only a split second to regain control of your vehicle, your survival depends on your firm grip of the wheel. And your grip on the wheel depends on your safety belt. Good drivers know how to avoid crashes. Only poor drivers need to wear safety belts. Fact or fiction? 70% of large truck crashes involving two vehicles were not caused by the truck driver. Even the best driver cannot control the actions of other vehicles on the road. A large truck will protect me. Safety belts are unnecessary. Fact or fiction? Would you risk your life on a coin toss? When occupants are not wearing a safety belt, they have about a 50% chance of surviving. However, when occupants are wearing a safety belt, their chance of surviving a fatal crash is over 90%. Which odds would you choose when your life's on the line? If my vehicle catches on fire or submerges in a body of water, the safety belt will trap me inside. Fact or fiction? In this situation, you will need to act fast to save your own life. But how can you? The shoulder strap wasn't there to prevent the head impact that rendered you unconscious. On December 26, 2006, a 55-year-old truck driver was killed in a crash while not wearing a safety belt. He was ejected from the vehicle and his truck rolled over him, crushing his chest and fatally wounding him. The driver's employer and spouse indicated that he habitually wore his safety belt. This tragic story highlights that drivers must buckle up each and every time, with no exceptions. Safety belts are not necessary for low-speed driving. Fact or fiction? Have you ever tried running full speed into a wall? That's still much slower than the impact of a crash at 30 miles per hour. Or when's the last time you jumped off a 3-story building? That is about the same magnitude of impact you will experience in a crash at 30 miles per hour. On March 17, 2008, a driver in Texas was involved in a crash after his truck cab fell nearly 40 feet down a cliff bank. The driver was traveling north on I-380 near Cedar Rapids when he swerved to avoid a car, hit the guardrail, and went up and over the railing, falling 40 feet below. Police noted that because he was wearing his lap and shoulder safety belt, the vehicle operator walked away from the crash. It takes too much time to fasten my safety belt 20 times a day. Fact or fiction? Your chance of death in a fatal crash is 5 times greater with no safety belt. It takes about 3 seconds to fasten your safety belt. Is it worth 1 minute of your workday to increase your chance of survival in a fatal accident to over 90%? Wearing my safety belt does not affect others on the road in the event of a crash. Fact or fiction? In the event of a crash, safety belts help to protect your cargo, other drivers, and yourself. And if you are injured in a crash, your family and loved ones may need to spend their time caring for you while you're recovering from injuries. Safety belts are too uncomfortable and restrict movement. Fact or fiction? How uncomfortable is a steering wheel in the forehead at 30 miles per hour? Or a backflip out of a closed passenger window? The trade-off here is serious and could save your life. If your safety belt is too uncomfortable, do something about it. Talk to your supervisor or mechanic about the vehicle conditions and make sure you have a safety belt setup that is right for you. 86% of professional drivers use their safety belt regularly in 2016, and it has been shown to keep drivers in control of their vehicles, prevent fatalities and serious injuries, and reduce the costs of a crash. I hereby pledge that I will use safety belts whenever driving or riding in a company vehicle, or in any other vehicle when on company business. I also pledge that passengers of vehicles that I am driving will wear safety belts. The average cost of a crash involving an injury is well over $170,000. The average cost of a crash involving a fatality is well over $3 million. These incidents decrease the profitability of your employer and tarnish your record as a professional. Your safety belt reduces medical, property, and liability costs. Buckle up every trip. Next time you're tempted to skip putting on your safety belt, think about what it takes to maintain control of your vehicle in a collision. Think about your family and anyone else that depends on you. Think about the other people on the road whose safety is in your hands. And think about your company and fellow professionals whose bottom line depends on your actions.
All right, everyone. That was the end of that video. Just showing different perspectives in regards to wearing your seatbelt, different myths that are out there. But at the end of the day, I think it all just comes down to anytime that vehicle is in motion, wear the seatbelt, regardless of how uncomfortable it may be or quote unquote time consuming it could be. This is one of the best chances at saving your life and helping those around you. Is there any questions, comments?
What about the sleeper vest, the safety belts they have in the sleeper? It will apply the same rules?
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that. I require all of my drivers to sleep with the net. And I think I've mentioned this before. If you don't have the net on and there is a collision, you can wind up going through the windshield of your car, or the truck rather, and into the back of whatever it is you're hitting. It is vital in terms of your life that you always wear your bunk belt or your bunk net.
Okay, thank you.
Well, if there's not any other questions, we thank you for your time this morning, and everyone have a good, safe day.
I have a question, Aaron, Leon 6022. I don't know who that person is. And then number 9, and the participant says 948-414-820. I don't have that phone. It's kind of incomplete. Oh, no.
Is it Julian? Maybe not. It might have just dropped off. Oh, Leanne 6022. That is. All I can see is his name.
Yeah, and he's not answering. And that one, 948, that's your platform, 948-414-820. Is that something yours or?
No, it looks like somebody just logged in with the number for that's the invitation number.
Oh, okay. Pero que no me contestan. He said if I hit in here, I can write to them, but they are not answering.
I'm not sure who it is.